Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back as always to another edition of Deadlock Weekly, the show where I bring you the latest news, leaks, esports roundups, and more every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you want to stay in the loop, be sure to subscribe. We are on the road to 5,000, which is fucking insane. But the first thing that we got this week actually is a hidden update. Doorman got a couple of new animations. Alongside, you can no longer place doors inside the fountain, which is a pretty big nerf. And don't trick me into using MOBA terms, by the way. I'm slowly becoming a MOBA player. The fountain is the actual area inside the base where you heal. And so Doorman can no longer just teleport you right into there. He still can right under Walker though, for now. Then guys, we've got some very early days for a new hero leak, possibly the Druid. We're only just getting a look at their ability titles and some textures that may or may not be associated with their abilities. But first off, to list those abilities, right now they're just titled Plant Obscure Brush, Plant Branch Wall for the 2, Sprout for the 3, and the ult is still just called Ability Druid Ult. So I think it's safe to say that these are all placeholder names for now until we learn otherwise. And then here's the texture that we can see in the files associated with that. So obviously still very early days, and I imagine this is just the first step on a long road we start here covering the development of Druid. So I'll be sure to keep you in the loop every step of the way. And I think a Druid character is really interesting, especially for New York City, because I think there's maybe a total of 6 or 7 trees on the map and a couple of bushes. How does a Druid work in a concrete jungle? I think that's an interesting question for the devs to tackle. Then guys, we've been kind of following just the general state of the community this week, and we'll start off with some good news. If you know Sir Action Slacks, the Dota kind of in-arena host, he's currently working at the International. He's actually cosplayed a couple of Deadlock characters at the International. It's Abrams and Drifter this year, and last year he was Infernus. And so it's super cool to just see Deadlock get the love it reserves and that it deserves, and it feels like it is a little bit more in the cultural zeitgeist than it was last year, even with the bigger boom last year. It feels like it's got a little bit more respect now. But then to go to a little bit of bad news, the decline is starting to begin. We are starting to shed players, but it's to be expected. In almost every game, when it has a big boom, a couple of weeks or a month or so later, it starts to thin out, just because, people move on to whatever the next game that's taking up their time is. All my buddies that I play Deadlock with have been playing Borderlands 4 this weekend. It's the circle of life. And it'll be interesting to see how much the player base does decay. I have to imagine we'll be comfortably above the 12 to 15,000 player counts we had prior to the update, but I think this will be a decay that takes another couple months for it to really stabilize, which in another couple months, again, I'm thrilled with where the game is at the moment, but just with the development cycle another couple months from now, it will probably be around major update time again, which could stop the bleeding a little bit. But just to reiterate my stance, I'm not particularly concerned about the player counts, even when we were at that 12 to 15k peak number. That's still well above where Deadlock needs to be to function and serve its purpose for the developers. Then guys, as we move on to win rates weekly, it's maybe the most vanilla one we've ever had. And before we really dive in though, I do want to say with how much the roster has expanded, it's getting kind of hard to read the win rates weekly graphic, even on my 4K monitor before it gets compressed by YouTube. So I'm going to try doing it on 2 pages this week, with the top half of the heroes first and the second half second. So let me know if you guys have any ideas for how to better present this, but I think this is where we're going to start. But yeah, really not a ton to see here. 7 is still strong, and honestly, as we now move past the honeymoon phase of this update, I think he may be the one to have the sights turned on him, calling for nerfs. His 3 is just as strong as ever, and even stronger with these new heroes being able to capitalize off that shred. And Gun Ivy is still strong as well, and I think that is reflected here, but there hasn't been much change this week as compared to last. Then guys, as we dive into our tournament roundup, we've got a busy one this week. In Europe, the Buff Enjoyers win 2-1 in spectacular fashion over Abrahams, holding on the defense for the back half of map 3. I called it map 3. I'm too much of a Counter-Strike fan. Waiting out Abrahams until they were dead at the wrong time. Just staggered them at the wrong time. Buff Enjoyers takes mid-boss, and a huge 7 ult inside Abrams' base essentially just ends the game in favor of Buff Enjoyers. They even pause the game right before killing the patron to rub it in, and I see people screaming on Reddit that there are people that do that should be getting banned. It's so toxic, and so some bad blood is certainly being formed in the EU, and we will certainly have more of it spilled. Night Shift runs every Wednesday evening, and Abrahams and Buff Enjoyers are common characters. And then in North America, the excitement continues. Sneaky Golems sneak a win in 2-0 fashion at that. We'll see if Sneaky Golems becomes a household name in NADL, but it certainly seems for now that Hydra Nation just had a off day. But on map 2, a 36-minute game, and I don't think we've had a game with 59 kills yet. I think that may be the highest kill count thus far, at least for a night shift. So congrats to the Sneaky Golems. Does feel like the games are going on a little bit longer post-patch, even in the pro level. Then guys, Death Slam APAC was ongoing this weekend, APAC Asia Pacific, and it was super cool because it lined up perfectly with my weekend sleep schedule. It came on right as I was hopping into bed so I could watch a little bit on my phone. And shout out to the champions OT, who didn't have a single loss the whole tournament. So congrats to OT and the entire Asia Pacific community for having a great event. Then guys, College Deadlock has opened its doors for a new semester. So if you're a college student with a few buddies at school who can fill out a team, signups end on October 3rd. The link is in description for you guys. Then guys, let's talk some Deadlock. I just want to start by amplifying this comment by Crazy McJesus because I thought it was an amazing idea to have a poker game running in the hideout. You could even have like a game state save based on whose hideout it's in, so like you could come back to the game in between matches or like even the next day or something. Do you guys have any idea for ways to fill out the hideout other than like microtransaction things? I think that's such a cool way to add like a little mini game to it. Then guys, from Bombastic Mech, Mina is quite a bit overtuned now, especially maxed ult. Current state Deadlock is in is fine for me. My biggest issue is matchmaking. Other games have gone through worse and it still had ranks more intact, mostly due to rank resets. I personally believe having regular rank resets would have fixed most our issues. I'm also happy that people can stop blaming player count for bad matchmaking. Mixed rank matches was introduced by Valve on purpose, not because of player count. And just a personal thing, I'm disappointed by Drifter. His work in progress playstyle was exactly my type of low health chaser, almost like Pocket or Calico, but he seems to have shifted into an almost generic solo pick hero like Haze in some sense. I'm also not a fan of infinite stacking gun damage. And for me, I think Mina is always going to be a little bit strange, and I think I'm just reckoning with the fact that I like her kit, but just hate how fragile she is and everything about that. I hate having to use my rake on minions to heal. I don't find it engaging in the same way I do with managing damage with Victor. And I just hate how if you run into anyone in the jungle anywhere or just anywhere you're not expecting to run into somebody, just randomly, you just die. It's over. And I agree with everything on matchmaking. I'm not sure a rank reset would solve all our problems, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. And the match quality blows, but I do think it has gotten better from the patch releasing to now. I also think it's probably the #1 thing actively driving people away, though, if there is something. So yeah, matchmaking still on the docket for needing improvement. Then I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who pointed out last week that the quote-unquote class I missed in the Assassin Brawler Mystic list was Marksman. I really appreciate that. I knew I wasn't going crazy, so thanks guys. Then kind of a follow-up on that, EX Frost said, I hate the idea of classes. The game is fun because roles can be so wide. If the quote-unquote class system is just separating characters out on the select screen, that's fine, but if it creeps into matchmaking or design, I will be fuming. I should have been more clear in last week's episode, but yeah, in the leak, it was more so a plan to help differentiate play styles to new players and not something that would bind you into like role queue or something. And so, I mean, anything can happen, but that's not the plan with how the leak goes. It's just simply an identifier, a sticker to put on so that new players can identify who's what. Then guys, that's all I got for you this time. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to the members. You guys' support really means a lot to me, and just everybody who's watching, it really means a lot. I mean, it's kind of insane the support I've had on the videos recently, so thank you guys so much. You've made my cold heart very, very warm. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys again next weekend. Peace. Oh, also, if you want to join up on Homie Game Night, just become a homie and join up on Discord on Wednesday, and I'll see you there. Peace.
How to make a smart object for you, because this removes